Hello, my name is Milton Lima. I'm a science and technology teacher in Vance County Schools in North Carolina. As an international teacher coming from Brazil 7 years ago, I realized that our students are not learning as authentic as they should. And that's why today I want to talk about authentic learning and project-based learning. Well, a couple of years ago, I heard from a TED Talk from Rita Person this following quote: "Kids don't learn from people they don't like." Kids don't learn from people they don't like. You know what? We adults don't learn from people we don't like. We adults don't perform as much from people we don't feel comfortable with. So we don't have any meaningful learning from people we don't actually get along with. So I transferred those ideas to my life and to my students, and realized that our students are not as engaged as they should to have the authentic learning they deserve. Reading a little bit more about Confucius, I realized that I could simply just reverberate his words when he says that I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and that's when I understand. Very fast, I went back to my school building, talked to these teachers, my colleagues, talking about how can we get our students engaged again and totally responsible for their own learning, their own education. Well, we start doing some research and we run a survey, and the result was that the collective autonomy of the teachers with multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary projects would be the most efficient way to have our students engaged once again. The final conclusion was that teachers shared belief that through collective action, they can positively influence student outcomes, including impacting those who are disengaged and or disadvantaged. We talk about ethical groups. We can help them when we can hear from them. Well, so because we didn't have much experience in teaching and learning with these more student or learner-centered ideas or project-based learning, we start comparing, contrasting those different things in published reports or any type of papers that we see in research. And that's when we started seeing that the passive teaching methods are not the ones who are retaining the knowledge and learning that we expect. So that means that most of the traditional ways of teaching that we have been exposed to so far is not as efficient as we believed. And you cannot measure, not even with the test scores or any other life skills they should learn. On the other hand, participatory teaching methods would be most efficient way to get our students once again engaged in learning through authentic project-based learning. That brings the idea that experiential learning actually would be responsible for bringing successful skills to our students and achieving everything they need for their professional lives and well-being. Also, project-based learning would be or would work as an equity lever for different types of ethical groups. Instruction quality of the teachers would be improved magnificently, as much as our student academic outcomes to please our district leaders. So, because once again we didn't have that much experience, we start thinking about what is project-based learning. It could be problem-based learning if we talk about math. It could be politics-based learning if we talk about social studies. It could be anything when you put the student in the center of their own learning and you let them pick, you let them get their goals, you let them come up with their own hypotheses and collect data by themselves. What we learned throughout this process is that project-based learning is not a project-oriented learning. And as a project-oriented learning, everybody should see these or have been exposed once in their lifetime. I remember, for example, we studying the missions in California 200 years ago, and the teacher, after reading and reflecting about every single author in every single text, students go back home and use some sugar cubes to make a model for their missions. Or whenever they're exposed to the terminology and learning about earthquakes, students go back home and they try to make a model of earthquake themselves. That's project-oriented learning. That's when the teacher picked the topics for them. The teacher said what they have to do, what materials to use, what questions should be answered. And the students don't have a clue why they're doing it. Well, we figured out that project-based learning, you work as you learn, and you learn as you work. In contrast, we can say that everything the kids need to know before they can work is project-oriented learning, because that's given by the teachers. With that in mind, we started exposing our students to a variety of different projects, a variety of different learning in different places, talking to different people, trying to face different perspectives of solving the same problems. And teachers would be working as a guide so the students can actually realize what's going on and answer their own questions for themselves. Teachers are supposed to bring the students to visit a rocket if possible. And by visiting Houston, Texas, they can talk to engineers, they can do rocketry themselves, and again, answer the questions that they chose to answer. Or teachers here at the bottom left, teachers should be able to reach the world, to Colombia, Mexico, or anywhere that's possible to bring the knowledge and learning to our students. My students, for example, they were able to be exposed to teachers and students in South Korea, in Canada, in Brazil, my homeland. We are the educators who are responsible for giving the support our students need so they can be actually efficient in the way they want to learn, how they want to learn, and why they want to learn. In this picture, I can show you that students are not only working with models and projects for sustainability, but they go to the fields, they go to the beach, and they can explore and see what is actually the consequences of the different climate change that our world is facing. Or even better, our students can go to our capital city and learn more about social studies and present at a national conference. To end this talk, please be the support, be the reference, but let your students thrive by doing the research and be engaged with their own learning and be exposed to their own passion. Thank you very much.